Democratic U.S. President Joe Biden faced fresh doubts on Wednesday about his re-election chances, including from two high-profile members of the party, Nancy Pelosi and major donor George Clooney. The former House Speaker, who is a longtime Biden ally, told MSNBC he must decide quickly whether to stay in the 2024 race, while declining to say definitively that she wanted him to run. Hollywood star Clooney, who co-hosted a fundraiser for Biden last month, withdrew his support with a damning opinion piece in the New York Times, saying that Biden was not the same man he was in 2020. Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries told lawmakers Wednesday that he would relay their concerns about Biden's electability to the president, according to media reports. For nearly 2 weeks, the 81-year-old has sought to stem defections by congressional representatives in his party, donors, and other allies, worried he might lose the November 5th election to his 78-year-old Republican rival Donald Trump after a halting debate performance. The president has said again and again that he will be the Democratic candidate and that he believes he can beat Trump. He has said repeatedly that he had a bad night at the June 27th debate and vowed to stay in the race. So far, public defections remain a small segment of the 213 Democratic-aligned House members, and the party's leadership continues to back Biden publicly. No members of the Senate have publicly said Biden should stand aside, though Senator Michael Bennet of Colorado said on Tuesday he did not believe Biden could beat Trump.
I have a real good feeling in my heart that the spacecraft will bring us home, no problem.
The first two astronauts to fly Boeing's Starliner capsule say they're confident it can bring them home. They've already been in space much longer than expected. Barry Butch Wilmore and Sunita Sunny Williams had their first news conference since docking to the International Space Station more than a month ago.
Absolutely confident.
I feel confident that if there was a problem with the International Space Station, we can get in our spacecraft and we can undock, talk to our team, and figure out the best way to come home.
The veteran NASA astronauts and former U.S. Navy test pilots are waiting for the company and the U.S. Space Agency to fix an array of thruster issues. They were launched aboard Starliner on June 5th from Florida and docked the next day at the ISS. They were supposed to spend about 8 days there. Now, their mission has been extended indefinitely due to a series of issues with Starliner's propulsion system.
You know, that mantra you've heard, failure is not an option. That's why we are staying here now.
It feels good to float around. It feels good to be in space and work up here with the International Space Station team. So, yeah, it's great to be up here. So I'm not complaining. Butch isn't complaining that we're here for a couple weeks, extra weeks.
5 of Starliner's 28 maneuvering thrusters went dead during its 24-hour trek to the station. A propellant valve failed to properly close, and there have been 5 leaks of helium, which is used to pressurize the thrusters. The current test mission is Boeing's final step before the spacecraft can clinch NASA's certification for routine astronaut flights. That would make it the second U.S. orbital capsule alongside SpaceX's Crew Dragon. A NASA chief has said extra testing could last at least a couple of weeks before Starliner gets the green light to bring the astronauts back to Earth. NASA and Boeing have said it is capable of getting them home in the event of an emergency on the ISS. But the capsule is not approved to fly home under normal, non-emergency circumstances until its thruster issues are resolved, or at least better understood. NASA and Boeing officials have emphasized that the 2 astronauts are not stranded in space.
An analysis provided to Reuters exclusively showed that the popular weight loss drugs Wegovy and Ozempic have seen a steady decline in use over time. The analysis of U.S. pharmacy data showed that only 1 in 4 Americans prescribed Wegovy or Ozempic for weight loss were still taking it 2 years later. The analysis does not include details about why patients quit using the medications, but the decline in use is spurring a debate over the drug's cost to patients, employers, and government health plans. Novo Nordisk's Wegovy or Ozempic can cost more than $1,000 per month and may require extended use to see meaningful benefits. The price tag has drawn fire recently from President Joe Biden and other public officials, who said such drugs could cost the country $411 billion per year, and that's if only half of adults with obesity used them. drug manufacturers have been unable to keep up with the unprecedented demand for the new weight loss drugs. In response to the analysis, Novo Nordisk said it, quote, does not believe these data are sufficient to draw conclusions about overall patient adherence and persistence to various GLP-1 medicines, including our treatments. A co-author of the analysis said the reason patients may stop their prescriptions was likely a mix of side effects, out-of-pocket costs, and supply shortages. Doctors said some patients may decide to stop the medication after successfully losing weight. Other studies have shown that most patients who stop using the drugs usually regain most of the weight.
Volkswagen shares slipped on Wednesday after a profit warning. The German auto giant said it saw a 3.8% drop in second quarter sales. China was a particularly difficult market as deliveries fell by almost a fifth. Sales of combustion engine cars have fallen in the country but still make up most of VW's lineup in China. The carmaker said it will raise its battery-powered offerings in coming years. It will also prioritise profitability even as rival Chinese car makers slash prices by up to a half. A VW spokesperson told Reuters they do not expect an easy year ahead. The company lowered its operating return on sales forecast down by between half and a full percentage point. It further said its Audi brand was considering closing its Brussels site due to low demand for its higher-end electric cars. Volkswagen shares were down over 1% in early trade, but slightly recovered later.
Tesla is hiking prices for some cars in Europe, and it says the EU's new tariffs on China-made vehicles are to blame. Model 3 cars in markets including Germany, Spain and the Netherlands are now over $1,600 more expensive. The increase comes after Brussels put tariffs of up to 37.6% on EVs imported from China. That hits the Model 3, which Tesla makes in Shanghai. However, Elon Musk's firm has been classed as cooperating with the European probe into Chinese subsidies. That has won it a lower tariff of 20.8%. BMW wants a similar reduction for its electric Minis, which are also made in China. They are currently subject to the highest duty. The tariffs are provisional in force while the EU conducts its probe. It says Chinese makers benefit from excessive subsidies, making it hard for European firms to compete. Beijing rejects the claim, saying its companies are winning based on productivity and technology. The EU is expected to make a final decision on the duties in November.
Apple may have fought off a potential hefty fine from the EU. The US tech giant said it would open its tap-and-go mobile payment systems to rivals. That's according to EU antitrust regulators on Thursday. The move ends a 4-year-long investigation of the iPhone maker. The EU competition enforcer charged Apple 2 years ago with hindering competition for its Apple Pay mobile wallet. It accused the company of blocking rival app developers from accessing its tap-and-go technology. The European Commission said Apple's new offer would be valid for 10 years. EU antitrust head Margrethe Vestager said competitors will now be able to effectively compete with Apple Pay for mobile payments with the iPhones in shops. Apple's tap-and-go technology, called Near-Field Communication or NFC, allows for contactless payments with mobile wallets. It will now permit developers to access its NFC to pre-build payment apps for rival mobile wallet providers. Apple said its offer would give European developers an option to enable tap-and-go payments for numerous features within their iOS apps. It includes car keys, home keys, corporate badges and more. More than 3,000 banks and issuers in Europe offer Apple Pay.
Samsung Electronics unveiled its latest foldable smartphones on Wednesday. It's bolstering AI functions in a bid to challenge Apple's dominance in the premium market. With a starting price of around $1,900, the Galaxy Z Fold 6 is Samsung's lightest and slimmest phone yet. Meanwhile, the clamshell Galaxy Z Flip 6 starts at $1,100. The world's largest smartphone maker pioneered the foldable segment in 2019. The launch is crucial as competitors are surging into the market. Samsung's foldable phone shipment share fell from 81% in 2022 to 63% in 2023. That's according to data provider Canalys. The Flip boasts a longer battery life, a higher resolution camera, and a new vapor chamber to keep the phone cooler. The hope is to reduce pain points discovered through customer interviews. Samsung is also offering new AI functions, including a listening mode that provides simultaneous interpretation by voice when paired with Galaxy Buds earphones. It also worked with Alphabet's Google for new AI search functions. On the accessory side, Samsung is making a bet on more sophisticated health monitoring functions. Its offerings include the Galaxy Ring. At just under $400, it is light, about 3 grams or less. It can be worn in the shower or while swimming and can constantly monitor heart rate and stress levels, as well as help control a Samsung phone's camera or alarm. A slew of new health functions were added to its Galaxy Watch products too. It's now a US FDA-approved monitoring device for sleep apnea. The products will be available starting on July 24th in South Korea, North America, and Europe.